She set up a dash cam for insurance. She forgot it was recording the night she sat in a dark garage and didn't know how to go inside. What the camera caught next, a 200-pound Mastiff doing something nobody taught him to do, is the reason she hasn't been able to delete that footage in 14 months. Nobody warned Jenna about the passenger seat. She had read everything there was to read about English Mastiffs before bringing one home. The feeding schedules, the joint supplements, the grooming routines, the vet bills that would rival a small car payment. She had measured her apartment, calculated the space, budgeted accordingly. What none of the articles mentioned, not a single one, was that a 200-pound English Mastiff named Duke would decide within his first week in her car that the passenger seat belonged to him, permanently, without discussion, and that she would eventually stop arguing about it entirely because some arguments are simply not worth having with 200 pounds of dog. That was 14 months ago. Jenna has not sat in her own passenger seat since. She was 26 when she adopted Duke from a rescue outside Columbus. He had been returned twice, once by a couple who said he was too large for their townhouse, and once by a man who simply said, without elaborating further, that Duke was a lot. The rescue coordinator had been completely honest with Jenna when she first called. "He's healthy," she said slowly. "He's genuinely gentle, but he will test you in ways you are not expecting, not out of aggression, out of sheer, absolute certainty that he already knows best." Jenna said she could handle it. She could not handle it, but she learned. The first week, Duke slept across the entire length of her couch and refused to acknowledge that the floor existed as a reasonable option for someone of his particular importance. He followed her from room to room with the quiet, focused intensity of someone who had been assigned to her specifically and took that assignment very seriously. He waited outside the bathroom door. He watched her eat every single meal. He pressed his enormous head against her leg every time she sat down, which was the Mastiff equivalent of saying, "I am here. I will always be here. Please acknowledge this at regular intervals throughout the day." She acknowledged it, frequently and without complaint. By the third week, Duke had claimed the car. It started innocently enough. Jenna had brought him along on a grocery run, thinking the drive would be good for him. Duke spent the entire journey with his head out the window, ears flying, looking like a gargoyle who had just discovered what joy felt like. When she parked and started to get out, Duke climbed directly into the passenger seat and sat down with the full, settled weight of a dog who has already made a permanent decision. She tried to move him back. He looked at her with the calm certainty of someone who is simply waiting for the human to accept the new arrangement and move forward accordingly. She left him there and got the groceries herself. It seemed easier. If you haven't subscribed yet, that genuinely stings a little. Hit subscribe now. You need to see what happens next. From that point forward, Duke rode shotgun on every single trip, without exception. Every errand, every drive-through, every early morning coffee run. He developed opinions about the radio. He seemed to prefer it kept low. He liked the window slightly cracked even in winter. He watched other cars passing with a focused, evaluating attention that strongly suggested he was assessing potential threats, which, given that he was a 200-pound dog bred historically to guard estates against intruders, was almost certainly exactly what he was doing at all times. Here is something most people don't realize about English Mastiffs. The breed dates back over 2,000 years. Roman soldiers encountered them in Britain and were struck enough by what they found to bring them back to Rome. Medieval English nobility kept them as estate guardians for generations. They were bred not just for size, but for judgment, to assess a situation quietly, hold their ground without flinching, and act only when it truly mattered. Duke came from a long line of dogs who took their responsibilities seriously. He took his responsibilities very seriously indeed. The camera caught it for the first time on a Tuesday in November. Jenna had set up a simple dash cam after a minor fender bender the previous spring, purely for insurance purposes, nothing more. She had completely forgotten it was even recording on the night she came home late from a work event, parked in her apartment garage, and sat in the driver's seat for a long moment with the engine off, not quite ready to go back inside. She had been having a genuinely hard few months, a close friendship that had quietly dissolved without explanation, a promotion that went to someone else after months of working toward it, the specific grinding exhaustion of pretending day after day in front of everyone around her that everything was fine when it clearly was not. Duke turned his head and looked at her directly. Then he leaned his full 200-pound body sideways and pressed himself against her, his enormous head resting on her shoulder, his breath slow and steady and warm against her neck. He stayed like that for 4 minutes and 31 seconds, not moving, not asking for anything, not attempting to fix what he couldn't fix, just completely, quietly present in the way only dogs seem to truly know how to be. Jenna sat in that dark garage and cried, and Duke stayed. She didn't know the camera had captured any of it until 3 weeks later, when she was reviewing footage after a small parking lot scratch. She watched the clip once, then twice, then a third time, sitting at her kitchen table in complete silence. Then she sent it to her sister, with no caption at all. Her sister called within minutes. "That dog knew," she said immediately. "He absolutely knew something was wrong before you said a word." Dogs have been living beside humans for over 15,000 years, and in that time, research suggests they've developed the ability to read our emotions with genuine accuracy, responding to grief and fear in ways that go far beyond training. Duke had never been taught to comfort anyone. He simply did it, because somewhere in that long history, that knowledge became instinct. Do you believe dogs can feel when something is wrong before we've said a single word? Tell me in the comments. Today, Duke still rides in the passenger seat without exception. He has strong opinions about drive-through workers. He clearly remembers the ones who offer him cups of water, and he equally clearly remembers the ones who don't. He still follows Jenna from room to room throughout the day. He still waits outside the bathroom door with the unhurried patience of a dog who has decided this is simply part of his purpose in the world. And some mornings, when Jenna starts the car and Duke climbs into his seat and settles his massive head against the cool glass of the window, she thinks about that footage, about 4 minutes and 31 seconds in a quiet, dark garage, about a dog who never once asked what was wrong, because he already knew. She thought she was adopting a pet. What she got was something harder to name than that, something that shows up in the dark without being asked, without needing to understand every detail, and simply stays until you are ready to go back inside. That is what 2,000 years of loyalty actually looks like. It looks like Duke. It looks like a passenger seat that was never really hers to begin with.